What's up, everybody? Rothstein here, Betting Public Sports Show. I'm your beloved host, famed Rothstein, a.k.a. Michael Snackson, a.k.a. Yves St. Croissant. Today is Thursday, January 29th, 2026. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. Share the program. All right. Not going to hold you much. I got no sports betting action for you today. I have some for you Saturday. All right. Look for the show Saturday morning. It'll be out. So, you got all day to, decide if you're going to take the investment advice or not. But like I said, like and subscribe. Today's show, I want to talk to you about, I got the chance to lightly meet in dialogue with a very popular guy in Philly, and apparently just in the community throughout the country. Gentleman by the name of Shabazz the OG. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know why he's so popular. I'm not that familiar with him like that. It's not, it's not on him. That's, could be me. I'm just not that familiar with him. But I came across him years ago on Instagram. I mean, years ago, probably at least 5 years ago, if not more, maybe even closer to 10. But I came across him on Instagram, and I noticed like every rapper from wherever was liking his posts. New York, Philly rappers, New York rappers, down south Atlanta rappers, Houston folks, rappers, West Coast rappers, and all on his Instagram as a mutual or a follow or something, and they be liking his stuff. How Instagram it says who, which famous person liked that post or whatever, or whichever ones. I was like, and he's always, giving stuff, advice or whatnot. I'm like, who is this guy? I just didn't care enough to dig him up like that. And, nowadays he does this thing called 3 to 30 seconds where he, shows the part of a video of people, if they could have just took 3 or 30 seconds to think about it, think about the consequences in the long game of what they're doing, they possibly wouldn't end up about to do 30 years in jail or be dead. And, he's a fascinating guy. Even if he was in whatever he does, if he was in the streets, I can tell you he has remorse. Because he seems like an upstanding gentleman. Fellow Mumin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he seems like an upstanding gentleman. But we were talking about, he made up a post about this Allen Iverson situation. For all of y'all who don't know, Allen Iverson went to, a hospital benefit with some children with cancer, kids dealing with cancer, and, he went out there and apparently things didn't go as expected. And people out there in the people out there in Australia, including the children and some of their families, at least one of them, posted stuff on Instagram and various social media sites. You can see it out there. And so Andrew Bogut, former Golden State Warriors center when they won that first title, and former NBA player, he came out and I can't remember the tweet exactly, but he basically said Allen Iverson was a shit human being and things like that. And so Shabazz the OG on his Instagram, he took everybody to task on that, basically said that they're lying on Iverson. That ain't what happened. Well, myself and several other posters kind of was like, hold on, man, settle down, Shabazz. Allen Iverson could have done this. His rep kind of precedes him. And Shabazz is, he kind of went back at me. I don't know about the others, but he went back at me we had a couple exchanges back and forth until he told me to DM him. No, because I said, you're a Philly homer. I told him he was a very provincial guy. You know, everything from Philly, he will gladly, you know, protect and honor it and defend it. And he was like, DM me a time where I did that. You know, he said that in the comments to DM him. And I told him about the Will Smith, Chris Rock stuff. And he sent me like a 4-minute DM, you know, about the Iverson thing and the Chris Rock Will Smith stuff. Basically saying like, you know, I'm not provincial like that. Geographical is the word he was using. You know, I'm not like that. You know, I call a spade is basically what he said. And I respected that. And it was just like, I respected, you know, it was a man conversation because he's probably no more than probably about 5 years older than me. You know, and somehow he's on the money team. Like with Floyd, that's what I'm saying. It's like this dude is like deep somewhere. Everybody loves him. You know, I wish I knew what I was missing, or maybe I need to go search for it. But yeah, so everybody loves the guy, and I was just like, nah, man. You know, like I understand. Alan, he said he spoke to Alan himself, or Alan's people. He said Alan's people, you know, meaning his publicists and his team and whatnot. And so my thing is like, what is his team and his publicist going to say? Yeah, Alan's being a little bit of an asshole, but, you know, it's all good. No, they're not going to say nothing like that. They're going to make it seem like that Alan was done or put in a compromising position. And, yeah, so it's like, I mean, we know what Allen Iverson, you know, basketball Hall of Famer, but not necessarily the most savory dude. You know, I mean, and some of it ain't even his fault. You know, when you come from the trenches like that, the mud like that, some of that stuff's gonna stay on you and stay in you. You know, that toxicity of coming out of those impoverished environments. It's gonna stay on you and it's gonna stay in you. And it kind of carried it kind of carried Allen Iverson, you know, throughout his career. Whatever he played, you know, 13, 14 years, he's pretty much a malcontent on the court. Hell of a ball player. Like we ain't fronting, but he was a little bit of a malcontent, and we still not fronting. That's not to diss him. It's not to diss him at all, but yeah, I mean, you know, because as I got older, you know, when I was a kid, I loved players. I loved the players, no matter what they did. As I got older, I enjoyed the story and the play and the. When I was a kid, I liked the athlete. As I got older, I loved the human and their stories. You see what I'm saying? And Allen just one of those dudes I wouldn't have kicked it with. Not that I'm even close to a saint. You know what I'm saying? We just both been in trouble. Let's just put it like that. So yeah, I just don't. You know, and here's another thing about that. If you can get a hold of his publicist, that means his publicist can get a hold of you or somebody with a name like Stephen A. Smith, who they have a relationship with. You know, Allen's well, you know, known throughout the ESPN building. You know, even Stephen A. Smith has the talk show he once had. The first guest was Allen Iverson. So Iverson can get a hold of these people to say like, hey, this is some bullshit they talking about me in Australia. Here's what really happened. Wah. Scream from the rooftops. You know, I know Allen Iverson got a few bucks, got some fuck you money and whatnot. That's cool. But scream from the rooftops, let them know, like, nah, this ain't true. I ain't dissing no terminally ill kids. This is what happened. They put me in a compromising position, blah, blah, blah. There's no way for me to come out as the good guy in this because of these factors, these parameters they gave me. None of that as of yet, but it's been gone for a couple days now. So that's what I'm saying. If Shabazz the OG can get a hold of the PR, the PR can get a hold of national media. None of that. But you tell me. Look up the story if you don't already know about it. Tell me what you think. Did Iverson more likely get played by a janky promoter? Or did, or Allen just, probably just got on that 16-hour flight to Australia and just was a cranky son of a gun? You know what I'm saying? Just was a cranky, just, he even said, I read somewhere that allegedly Iverson Publicist team said that Allen was having a bad day. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell you said that to some terminally ill kids. And if you didn't, all the more reason to hit up the national media back in the United States and say, bullshit. But yeah, so tell me, do you think Allen Iverson really did have a bad day out there and was dealing with some janky promoters? Or, do you think he should have done more to kind of clear his name a little bit? These questions and more are answered on the next episode of Soap. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video, to the channel, and I'll holler. Be safe. Peace.